The sun had long vanished beyond the jagged horizon of Kythera 9, leaving the twin moons to cast their silver glow over the execution platform. At the center, a human man knelt, shackled and weary, his chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. He had been brought here under the pretense of trial, though the verdict was never in question: death. The Alien Council had deemed humanity a threat, unpredictable and dangerous, and this human, called Marcus by his captors, was to serve as a warning. But Kythera 9 had never known what was coming next. High above the platform, the grand amphitheater's crystalline walls shimmered, reflecting the moons and casting rainbow fractures across the alien audience. Every noble, every enforcer, every sentinel watched in expectation, ready for the spectacle. The humans had always been unpredictable, yes, but no one expected royalty to intervene. And yet, here they came. 3 figures descended from the sky, each riding a luminescent chariot propelled by anti-gravitational fields. The crowd murmured, voices vibrating in a strange, harmonic resonance. These were no ordinary visitors. They were the princesses of the Arindian Empire: Lyria, Aelith, and Seraphine. Each carried the insignia of her house, a glowing sigil of defiance. "They have no right to," a guard began, but the words died on his tongue. The princesses landed with effortless grace, the light from their arrival washing over the platform like a storm. Marcus blinked, bewildered. He had expected death, but instead, he was greeted with something entirely impossible: allies. Princess Lyria spoke first. Her voice, amplified by a resonant field, cut through the amphitheater like a blade. "Stop this madness." The crowd froze. An alien queen herself might not have dared, but here stood 3 princesses, each defying protocol, each challenging centuries of law. "This human," Lyria continued, "is under my protection." Aelith stepped forward, twin blades glowing at her sides. "And anyone who tries to touch him will answer to us." Seraphine, the youngest but perhaps the most audacious, grinned. "Rules are for cowards, and we are no cowards." The council, a ring of tall, crystalline beings, hissed and vibrated in fury. The High Magistrate raised a clawed hand, a gesture signaling execution. Energy lances hummed to life along the edges of the platform. And yet, the princesses did not falter. Instead, they leapt into action. Aelith's blades cut through the energy beams as though they were mere threads. Seraphine's staff projected a field that distorted gravity around the enforcers, sending them tumbling like ragdolls. Lyria, commanding a force of her own, summoned a barrier that shimmered with raw power, reflecting the council's attacks. Marcus watched in awe, realizing that his life, and perhaps the fate of humanity, now rested in the hands of these interstellar royals. "You don't understand," he said between gasps. They'll destroy your entire planet if you defy them." Lyria's eyes softened, but did not waver. "Some rules are worth breaking." The aliens regrouped, surging forward in synchronized waves. But the princesses had anticipated this. Seraphine activated a series of drones, their swarms acting as mirrors to confuse the council's targeting systems. Aelith moved like liquid steel, deflecting every strike. Lyria, standing at the center, channeled a force that hummed with resonance, disrupting the alien structures supporting the amphitheater. Cracks raced across the crystalline walls, and the audience shrieked in panic. "Why are you helping me?" Marcus shouted over the chaos, ducking a falling shard of crystal. Lyria glanced at him briefly. "Because humanity has something we've almost forgotten: courage, tenacity, the audacity to fight even when defeat seems certain. That is power." Aelith added, "They see humans as weak, unworthy, expendable. Let's show them they're wrong. Together, the three princesses moved as one, a storm of precision and rebellion. The alien guards, formidable as they were, could not overcome the synchronization of royal defiance. Energy blasts deflected, plasma whips shredded, and gravity fields warped under Seraphine's command. For Marcus, it was surreal. One moment he was facing death, the next he was being saved by beings who, by law, should never have intervened. And yet, the defiance in their actions inspired something deep within him, a courage he hadn't known he possessed. "This is our fight too," he muttered to himself. And with that, he rolled to the side, snatching a discarded plasma baton from a fallen guard. For the first time, he moved not as a captive, but as a combatant. He parried, jabbed, and dodged, surprising even himself. The tide began to turn. The aliens, once confident in their dominance, found themselves outmatched. It wasn't sheer firepower that defeated them, it was the audacity to challenge the established order. Then, the High Magistrate unleashed his ultimate weapon, a massive, pulsing orb of concentrated energy, capable of annihilating the entire platform. Lyria's eyes narrowed. Seraphine now. Seraphine extended her staff, drawing power from the moons above. A beam of harmonized energy collided with the orb. The explosion of light was blinding, a fusion of destructive and protective forces. When the radiance faded, the orb was gone, and the amphitheater trembled, but remained intact. The council reeled. Their authority had been shattered. For the first time in history, the unyielding laws of the Arindian Empire had been bent, broken, by three princesses and a single human. The crowd was silent. Even the audience, who had come to witness execution, now watched in stunned awe. Marcus staggered toward the princesses, gratitude and disbelief warring across his face. You saved me." Lyria placed a hand on his shoulder. "No, you saved yourself. We only reminded them that courage can be contagious." Aelith nodded, scanning the remnants of the council's forces. "And that sometimes the rules of kings must be rewritten." Seraphine's grin returned. "Consider this a royal intervention. And humans? You just earned a few new friends." The aftermath was chaos. The council, humiliated and weakened, retreated to reassess their governance. Across Kythera, 9, the news of the princesses' rebellion spread faster than any weapon could fire. Stories of the human who survived against impossible odds, aided by alien royalty, became legend. Marcus, once slated for death, found himself at the center of a new chapter for interstellar relations. He and the princesses formed an alliance, one that would challenge old hierarchies and redefine what it meant to be a hero. But there was more than strategy at play. In quiet moments, as they stood together on the edge of the amphitheater, the princesses shared with Marcus something he had never expected: respect, admiration, and even friendship. "You know," Marcus said, staring at the shattered walls, "I never thought humans would make history like this." Lyria smiled faintly. "History is not made by those who wait for it. It's made by those who defy it." Aelith added, "And you reminded us all that even in a universe that fears humanity, there is something they cannot control: spirit." Seraphine laughed, a light, musical sound. "You humans really are something else. I think I like that." For the first time, Marcus allowed himself to hope, not just for survival, but for what might come next. With allies like the princesses, the galaxy was no longer a place of rules and execution. It was a place where courage could rewrite destiny. And as the twin moons rose higher, illuminating the cracked platform and the trembling amphitheater, Marcus realized a truth that would stay with him forever. Sometimes, it takes breaking every rule to show the universe what it truly fears: humans. And perhaps, just perhaps, it was time for the galaxy to learn why. The story of that night, the night 3 princesses broke every rule to save a human, would echo across the stars for generations. Marcus survived, yes. But more importantly, humanity earned a reputation it had never had before: unyielding, fearless, and impossible to ignore. And somewhere, in the vastness of space, Lyria, Aelith, and Seraphine smiled. Because they had not only saved a human, they had reminded the galaxy that courage, audacity, and defiance could not be contained by rules, law, or fear. The amphitheater was quiet now, save for the distant hum of failing energy shields and the occasional crackle of fractured crystal. Marcus stood amid the remnants of what had been an execution site, feeling the weight of what had just occurred. He wasn't just alive, he was a symbol that even in a galaxy ruled by strict laws and hierarchies, one human's courage could ripple across worlds. The princesses gathered around him, their armor battered, their hair streaked with silver from energy discharges, but their eyes still burned with determination. Lyria placed a firm hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You've done more than survive. You've reminded all of them, that fear alone cannot govern." Aelith, scanning the trembling amphitheater, added, "They will tell stories of this day. Of a human who stood when the universe told him to kneel, and of 3 princesses who refused to bow to rules written in stone." Seraphine, ever playful even after battle, grinned. "I've never seen guards scatter so fast. And I've been at court for 15 years. You humans, you're something else." Marcus laughed, a shaky, disbelieving sound. "I never thought I'd live through this, let alone be called something else by 3 princesses." Lyria smiled faintly. "Not all heroes wear crowns or wield power. Some simply refuse to let the world dictate their fate." As the first rays of the twin moon's dawn began to fade, the shattered council returned, silent and humiliated. Their authority was broken, not by superior numbers, not by firepower, but by defiance and courage. Across the galaxy, news of this act would spread like wildfire. The human who had been sentenced to death had not only survived, but had also inspired a revolution of thought, that the audacity to fight, to resist, and to challenge the impossible was a power even the most rigid empires could not suppress. Marcus looked around at the princesses. "So, what happens now?" Seraphine tilted her head, her eyes sparkling. "Now? Now we make sure this doesn't happen again. That humans and anyone who dares to stand up have allies in the galaxy. And maybe we teach a few people that courage beats fear every single time." Aelith sheathed her blades, the glow fading into the ambient light of dawn. "This is bigger than one human, bigger than a single planet. Today, we proved that rules are meant to protect life, not destroy it. And when laws become tools of oppression, it's the brave who rewrite them." Lyria stepped closer to Marcus, her voice soft but firm. "You've reminded us of something we'd almost forgotten, that even in a universe bound by laws, there is one force that no one can regulate. One force that is raw, unpredictable, and unstoppable." Marcus frowned, uncertain. "What's that?" She smiled. "Hope. Courage. Humanity." The winds of Kythera, 9 carried their words across the shattered amphitheater, lifting fragments of crystal like confetti. The crowd, which had once watched eagerly for an execution, now witnessed the birth of legend. Whispers spread among alien ranks. A human survived the impossible. 3 princesses defied centuries of law to save him. And a galaxy, so long ruled by fear and protocol, now had reason to tremble, or to hope. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the strange exhilaration of being alive, of surviving, and of being part of something far greater than himself. "Then I guess we start changing the galaxy?" he asked, a faint grin forming. Seraphine laughed. "Not just changing it,